Aloha and welcome to our Healing Moments program for May 1st, 2021. And May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii. And so you can see that I'm wearing not one, but two different kinds of leis. It's kind of fun. Um, let's see, we got somebody in the waiting room. Let's let them in. We'll let her come in as we begin to get started on this Healing Moments program. Aloha, Pam. Thanks for joining us. And I'll just get us started. And then anybody that has a question, you can raise your hand or you can type it in the chat. I got the chat going too. So I want to welcome you and welcome everyone. This is the Healing Moments monthly free webinar, and the program is dedicated to your questions and shares about healing and moving forward on the evolutionary journey of love. We create a space to discuss the spiritualist perspective on what's happening and to find answers to life, healing, and consciously creating your world. And isn't that helpful these days? So we're gonna just do a 5-breath self-healing meditation. I'm gonna do an opening prayer and just for a prayer of intention. So if you don't know the 5-breath self-healing meditation, there are 5 hand placements. And usually we do 5 breaths at each of the hand placements, but today we just do one because we don't have that as much time as we do normally in workshops. So the first one is at the head, the next at the eyes, next at your heart muscle, and then at your stomach, and then at your second chakra at the very above the pubic area. So take a breath with me and breathe deeply through your crown chakra and down through the pineal gland and lock it in your heart. And that's where it turns into white. It turns into white light there, and you weave all 4 bodies together. Exhale up to your shoulders and out your palms. So place your right palm on top of your crown chakra, left palm on top of that. Breathe in deeply, lock it in your heart. Exhale and fill your whole head with this healing white light. And the next breath is at your closed eyelids with your 2 fingers, index and middle, together on both hands. And just breathe in and breathe out into your eyes and let it go all the way back to the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve goes down your spine and lights up your whole nervous system. The next breath is at your heart muscle. So place your right palm there and left palm on top with your thumbs pointing up toward the throat. Breathe in and let the light go when you exhale into your heart muscle, and just take in your whole chest area and light it up with healing white light. You just feel it flow. And the 4th hand placement is at your 3rd chakra, right at your stomach. Place your right palm there, left palm on top. Breathe in and breathe into it deeply. Let the love flow throughout this whole abdomen area. And the final placement is at your 2nd chakra, right above the pubic symphysis. Breathe into this whole, out into this whole area of your digestive tract, urinary tract, reproductive organs. Just light it up. And now what you're creating around you is like a bubble of healing light. So I want you to just feel that light flowing through you and all around you as I call upon the Creator, the Christ light, the Goddess Wheel of Love, and all the guides, the angels, the guardian lights, the energies of love of myself and everyone on the call and those listening later on the recording to come together now in a space of love and healing. We pray for the presence of all the highest beings of highest light, so that what comes forth now in this Healing Moments program is the very highest light for all those involved. We pray now to understand more and more about our evolutionary journey and determining and finding out from our hearts, what do we really want in our lives and how can we create that for ourselves? We open our hearts now to the information and the love, and so it is. Amen. Okay, let's see, we'll get Mahina Ku in here. She's just coming in. So aloha and welcome. She can probably help us out with a little bit more about Lei Day. So let me talk a little bit, since we've got our goddess sister Mahina Ku now, who I bet was probably a Lei Day queen in her day in school. So what is this Lei Day thing? Okay, it's May 1st. And Pam, I'm not sure where you are. Where are you listening to us from? Because are you in the Hawaiian Islands by any chance? You can type it in the chat, or you can say something. Where are you listening from, Pam? Or watching, as it were. Anyway, I didn't get the answer. You wanna tell us where? Oh, you're in the UK. Okay, that's far away from the islands, but that's okay. You're with us here now. It's so perfect. So May Day, I know in different parts of the world has different significance. And let me just tell you the story of my very first Lei Day, because my family moved here when I was 9 years old. And on the very first May Day, I was 10. And our elementary school, like most, in fact, all, I'm sure all elementary schools in the Hawaiian Islands have a May Day pageant and a May Day celebration of Hawaiian culture. So this was my first experience. This little haole girl, little white girl from California, moving here with my family, but immediately I knew it was a new life for me when I came here, even at that age. And I could feel the difference between here and California, and I felt immediately at home. And even then, I didn't know much about, I didn't know anything about past lives, but here I was back again in Lemuria. So the first Lei Day was an opportunity with me and my 4th grade class to learn how to do a hula and to stand up in front of everyone from the school, all the parents and everything. We were outside under this huge banyan tree. And there was first a Lei Day court that came in. So there was a princess and a prince. I think there was a prince. No, we didn't have princes. We only had princesses from each of the Hawaiian Islands. So, and they were wearing the appropriate color for each of the islands. So, you know, for example, Oahu is an orange color because it represents the Elima flower, and green, I think pink is Maui for the Lokilani, the rose flower. And then the big island, Hawaii Island, is red for the Lehua flower. And so they, you know, it follows all of that, and there are 8 main islands. So the princesses walk in, each with their kahilis, and the kahilis are these it's kind of a standard that's on a long pole, and it was covered with flowers. So everything's very floral, right? And then they brought in each princess, they sat in their places, and then here came the king and the queen, or the queen and the king. Queen is most important, right? So it's so goddess, you know. And so then the queen came in, and there's the court sitting there, and every school class, every grade in the 1 through 6, including, I don't think we had a kindergarten too. So everybody comes out and does their hula dance for the court, the royal court. And there's an announcer and all the parents are so proud. And I was so nervous. And here I am in my special little, everybody wore their mu'u's, which is a Hawaiian kind of a dress. And we all dance, and the boys have a shirt with like a sash on it, and white pants and things like that. So that was my first one. The second May Day, I was the announcer. I became the announcer of the May Day contest, not contest, the pageant. So you can see how permeated this is here into when you're just a young child, you start to learn about Hawaiian culture. And that's where I became fascinated with Hawaiian culture and language. And I started to study in my own way the Hawaiian language. And I started translating songs so I could understand what the songs were about. And I just, as the years went by, I immersed myself in the Hawaiian culture, and I still do. I love it. I love it very much. And one thing that I loved so much was lei making. So I've got here from my garden a plumeria lei, and afterwards this is going on my mailbox, because last year, I think they started that here in Hawaii, that we make a lei and we put it on our mailbox for the mail people or the frontline workers. So this will go on my mailbox afterwards, so people driving by can see the lei. But this is a plumeria. It's a yellow plumeria. We have all colors of plumeria here. This is puamelia. Thank you, Mahina ku, is the Hawaiian way to say that. And there's pink. There's orange and red. They're beautiful, and they're so ubiquitous. They're all over in people's yards here and in the school yards. So it's really super simple for the kids at school to get their lei needle. And a lei needle, I don't have it here, but the lei needle is a long needle like this, and it has a little hook on the end, and you hook the string on it so you can, string the flowers easily, but you can just as well do it with a big sewing needle. And so people make their own lei, and that fascinated me. So I actually, before I went to live in Europe for a number of years, I had my own little lei making business. So I would hike up into the mountains with my dog. I was a dog person in those days. And I collected all the flowers, the special native Hawaiian flowers, and I made these special leis. And that's how I indoctrinated myself more in lei making. Of course, I'm into other things now, but I just wanted to share with you, this is what our lei day, our May Day is all about. So yesterday here from my house, there's an elementary school just down the street, and I heard the announcer for the Lei Day pageant, and I think they must have gotten a big space outside on the playground and created their May Day pageant this year, which is wonderful because that didn't happen last year. So yeah, so Mahina ku, do you have anything to share as the other local person here in here? You don't have to put on your camera. You just turn on your microphone.
No, but I think it was fascinating to hear how you were in your first May Day pageant.
Yeah, it was a really cultural experience for me as a little 9-10-year-old. All of a sudden, it wasn't like California anymore. It was, in fact, I really learned early on that this is like another country. I mean, and I always embraced the idea that the Hawaiian Islands are its own country. And I don't want to get into monarchists and how I feel that the Hawaiian monarchy should still be in existence, but that's another story for another day. But I do feel that this place, which we call Lemuria, and I could talk a little bit about that as well, is that is what I was feeling when I first came here as a child. And I know in my heart that it was me that brought my family here. And I know that my family would like to say, oh, it was because of my dad's work that the company transferred him over here. But I know it was me that arranged it before I incarnated to, at that point in my life, end up back in Lemuria. Because Lemuria, in case you're not aware of it, was an ancient land 40 to 50,000 years ago, a huge continent in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And the Hawaiian Islands are the remnants of Lemuria, the mountaintops of ancient Lemuria. So here we are now. And if you've ever been to the Hawaiian Islands, you might feel that feeling of love. And everyone wants to say, oh, it's the Aloha spirit. And that's true, it is. But there's something deeper here going on. And if you explore, especially the tops of the mountains, this is where the healing temples were located during Lemurian time. So if you get to the top of Mauna Kea, or you get to the top of Mount Haleakala, you're going to feel, even if you get to Waialeale on Kauai, they are very sacred spaces. And you can do ceremony there if you're into the goddess way of putting on your scarf and making an offering of something like something from your home where you come from and offering it. These are places where you can do sacred ceremony. So I invite you to come to Hawaii. And if you can't travel right now, which is something we're going to talk about a little bit, because we are midst in a pandemic and the great shift in consciousness, which is, for me, part of the rise and the return of the Lemurian energy, because the Lemurians lived a life very similar to ours in that they moved from the third dimension to the fourth dimension and into the fifth dimension, and then gave up, some into the sixth, but many gave up the evolutionary process in order for the world and for the creator to experience once again the evolutionary process. And this is where we are now, right? We're here in the great shift in consciousness at the time of third dimension moving into the fourth. And once the fourth opens, the fifth dimension comes even closer and allows us to move in that direction and to move into a fifth dimensional loving light. So I'm so happy to have all of you here. And I want to, before I get off on other topics, I really wanted to invite you to raise your hand whenever you want to, unmute yourself. I think you're able to do that, and ask your question, or if you'd like to put it in the chat. I'm also on Facebook Messenger, if you'd like to come in there, if that's more convenient for you. So I just want to talk about, here's something I wanted to share with you. Because we're in this great shift in consciousness, and our topic today is how do you really want your life to be? What I wanted to say to you in the beginning was the Lemurians have left us great wisdom that will help us through these shifting times. And I received this wisdom through, and I continue to receive it through my mentors, Master Guide Kiro and Kahu Fred Sterling, his medium. And all of the great wisdom, a lot of the great wisdom you can find on the signatureselfhealing.com website. I have some of it on my own website, KarinnaNielsen.com, which is, by the way, is brand new. It looks really different. I'm getting used to it. But I really want to thank Annie Sweet for all her great work on just creating a brand new site. It's just so different, and I feel it really reflects the Lemurian energy. And so what I wanted to tell you was the great wisdom that the Lemurians have left us. And some of it is, I'm looking for my little book cover here, but I don't see it. Kiro Lemurian Legacy for the Great Shift is a wonderful book to read about the Lemurian wisdom. I was part of putting that book together as part of Lightways Publishing. in those days. And this wisdom that's held in that book is really a great basis for understanding the goddess light and the role that we play in the great shift in consciousness and the return of the Lemurian energy. And part of it was also that 5 breath self-healing meditation that we did at the beginning. We just did a short version of it, but you can learn more about it on signaturecellhealing.com. And we do that in the Signature Cell Healing workshops. So, and we just had one last weekend, which Sandra and Mahina Ku were in our workshop, and thank you very much. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it immensely. And what I wanted to tell you was I got a share from somebody about doing the 5 breath self-healing meditation, and her name is Janet, and she's here on the windward side of Oahu. And I just wanted to read what she said. She said, this is after she learned the 5 breath self-healing meditation. She said, I started doing signature cell healing once a day. After a few weeks, I suddenly noticed that my right leg, which has been swollen for decades, was hardly swollen at all. I've had to wear a compression sock on my right leg for so long, and now I don't need to wear one. None of the doctors could figure out why it was swelling even after running every test. So now I do signature cell healing twice a day. Isn't that great? So I think that it's not magic, but it's magical, Master Kirill likes to say. And so part of the process, I think, of signature cell healing and of our evolutionary process is just taking another step in love every day, moving forward. Don't go back into fear, but move forward in love. And that gets really hard to do sometimes as humans. We really want to sit down and cry sometimes. But you know, we also in the workshops talk about the 5 or 50. And the 5 or 50 means you have a goal or a destination that you're trying to get to. And it might take you 5 steps to get there, or it might take you 50, or it even might take you 500 to get there. But you just got to keep going. Now and then you might want to sit down and cry, but that's not going to get you anywhere. You can do it. Maybe you'll feel a little better, but keep going. Just keep going. So, Pam, you said you did it last year. Were you with us in a workshop? Oh, yes. Which one? Which one were you in? May, November?
May. I was in May.
Oh, you were in the first one. Oh, that's great. Well, you have to come back for the next one because I started teaching the codes.
I know. I want to enroll in the next one.
Yeah, next one we'll try and make it better, more convenient for people in Europe. Yeah,
but
because this one
already.
Huh?
The other one was already good.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope to be there in Europe sometime. I got my 2nd vaccination shot, so it's not time yet, but someday it will be. And I'm looking forward to getting back to Europe and interacting in person with everybody. Thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate it.
I cannot visit you in Hawaii.
Yeah, you should. And that's another thing I've been considering is doing the workshops here and having people come here because, we really do have really good protocols for people visiting in place. The mayor and the governor, they've done a good job with that. And our case loads are really low here. So, there may come a time when that's a good thing to do. So I hope you take that opportunity. That would be fun.
I want to, definitely. Since a long time, so yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Pam. Okay, so let me get into the topic because it's kind of, it's a bit provocative and I meant it to be, how do you really want your life to be? And some of the questions that I asked you, the reader, was what is the secret to creating the life that you really want? What power do we really have over what comes up for us in life? And how can we move through our fears to live the life of our dreams? Well, the first thing I would say is to that last question is believe. Don't give up hope. Don't, it becomes so, it can be so challenging, especially in the days that we're into. This morning, I was just brought to tears thinking about how much light and love I'm sending to India right now, and sending whatever codes I work with, you know, to alleviate and to uplift the people from the suffering. Though we know it is a great shift in consciousness, and that there are many, many people that will leave the planet to do other journeys. And we're grateful for that. But when we can be present in our hearts and be clear about what we want, boy, does that start things for you. So what I'm talking about is, first of all, the 10 principles of consciously creating. And that's on my website too. And you want to get yourself into those 10 principles. You could you could read the book. There's a book about it. You could delve into the audio recordings. There's many of those on selfhealing.com. There's so much information there, but what the wisdom that there is there means nothing until you put it into practice for yourself. So take a moment and think about, first of all, the truth for yourself. And that would be the first principle. What is the truth for you in your heart? Get into the truth. And it's not the truth that you're going to read in a book or read in on a website or hear on the radio or in the news at night. It's the truth that you feel in your heart that you know is true. And it takes practice to get rid of the other subterfuge that comes around us to lead us this way or to lead us that way. But the truth will always be felt as love. So if there's fear, then go back into it and find the love in what you're feeling in your heart. Release the fear and come into love. And that will set you on your journey through the whole 10 principles, because that's the first one. But when you get to the final 4 principles, what we call the 4 pillars, oh boy, that's when you can bring the guidance realm and the realms of spirit into working with you in your human journey to consciously create what it is you want. So my suggestion, and I'm open to anybody else's suggestion too, is to get into the 4 pillars of the 10 principles of consciously creating. And they are prayer, meditation, sleep state programming, and masterminding. And delve into those 4. Take your, create your mastermind statement, which is simply a affirmation in the present tense of what it is you truly want, without limits, in love for yourself. And then weave the prayer and get, put it in your prayer. Listen for answers or directions or guidance in the meditation. And then begin your sleep state programming, which is such a powerful principle, the powerful 9th principle, we call it. That's when you can, in your sleep state, when you're sleeping, your higher self can go and work with other people's higher selves or your guidance or your angels, whatever, to hone that mastermind statement so you get it really tight. And I've always said to people that are in the classes, send me your mastermind statement and I'll work with you on it. And I say that to all of you too. Send me your mastermind statement. We'll work on it. and then I'll put it in the prayer bowl at the Honolulu Church of Light, which is the home of signature cell healing, I like to say. So they have a wonderful prayer bowl with this beautiful white satin crystal that sits right in the middle of it. And we put the prayers in there. And every night at 11:30, we all send our higher selves there to energize all the prayers. And it's just magical. I want to tell you that my brother-in-law in Switzerland, my brother-in-law, it's my husband's sister's husband, had a really, really dire case of COVID. And he got that just after New Year's and was about 6 to 8 weeks in the ICU on a ventilator in a coma. After about 8 weeks, progressed into a regular hospital room and now is in rehab. And I put him repeatedly in that bowl and just lit it up. And there were so many people praying for him. There is so much that we can do with our loving intentions for ourselves, for other people, for healing in the world. And that, brings me into another topic, which is not another topic, but it's something we do every month. And that's the global healing meditation for Mother Earth. And when we focus together our love, and there are people all around the world that are joining us in this meditation. It's just so wonderful now. I've been doing it for over 20 years. Must be over 20 years now. Oh, yeah, about 20 years. When we do it about 3 nights before the full moon, and I put something on Facebook or Instagram. It's on my website to let you know. This month it's May, is going to be May 23rd, which is the Sunday night. And we'll be gathering our energies at 9 o'clock your local time at Diamond Head. So everybody sends their light in there. By the time we in Hawaii get there at 9 o'clock our time, we're the last time zone. It's a party. It's a big, big weave of light. And it's just emanating around the planet. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful. So I invite you to join us in that, because it's the healing is powerful. Anyway, I'll stop for just a moment before we talk about the numerology. Does anybody have a question, or is there something about the topic that you'd like to share? I'm going to reach for my cards right here. I'm going to do a card pull. Okay. All right. If there's nothing right now, I want to remind you that this is the month of May, yes, and it's the 5th month. So we're in the numerology of 5, the Lemurian numerology of 5, which is the number for love. And that is my life path number. So what do we have life path numbers? What are our life path numbers in here? We have, I think I know Mahinaku is a 7, right? I'm a 5. Pam, what is your life path number? You can hold up fingers if you want. Have you got it? You don't know your life path number? You don't? So you just take the month, the day, and the year, and you add them together. I think you must have learned that in First Steps.
Yeah. But I forgot the number. But it is the year is 4 digits, or just the last 2?
All 4.
All 4.
All
okay.
4. So the month, the day, and you have to add up the year and then add that together.
7.
You're 7 too? Oh, Mahinaku is also 7. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so that's the transition number, right? That's the number for transition. Hi, you have a soulmate here, Aldine. Another 7. Let me see, I got a message over here. Okay, so the month of 5, so let me let me tell you about 5. So 5 is the number for unconditional love of the Creator, the love without opposites. By opening to this love within you, everything comes to a greater level of clarity, beauty, and balance. You are connecting into the source of who you are. So how beautiful is that to start the month of love with Lei Day and May Day? It's so perfect. It is a wonderful month, and everything in the northern hemisphere, of course, is starting to get springy and beautiful flowers everywhere. And here we have the plumeria, trees are coming out again, and that's really wonderful. In the southern hemisphere, of course, going into fall, and that's a beautiful season as well. So how beautiful is that? Okay, so now I'm gonna pick a Lemurian prophecy card, and this is the, I gotta shuffle over here. So these are the cards that I use for the channeled readings with the Chancellor of Lemuria. And we shuffle the cards when we begin 5 times. And you know why, right? Because 5 is the number for love. So you're putting love into the cards, right? So everybody right now, send your energy into the cards. Whoa. I'm holding it here so it goes in my heart too. It feels really good. Okay, so I'm going to cut the cards, and we're going to see the card for this particular program today. Ta-da! Look what we got. We got a 5 for the month and the love, and we got the hearts, which is the emotional body, right? There are 4 suits. So the spades is the spiritual, the clubs is the mental, the hearts is the emotional, and the diamonds is the physical. So we got a 5. We got a 5 of hearts. That is so cool, because I know the Chancellor's with us, and he's not the only one. We got a lot of guidance with us today. So, oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. I just want to, wait, let me put that, I'm going to put that over here someplace. Yeah, so we can have that right there. You got it? Got it. Okay, great. Oh, awesome. That is so perfect. Right. Oh, that's great. Okay, so that's the Lemurian numerology. I also wanted to mention that the Chancellor is continuing his guidance on the 10 principles. And that's also on the website, or you can get it off of my newsletter. The link will go right there. So this month is the 5th principle, communication. And for me, this is just so perfect. He brought through, I say he, it's a she brought through some beautiful guidance about communicating, not just with other humans, but also with ourselves, which is a big one for me, because there's so many, thoughts we can have in our mind that, second guess ourselves, or, it should be better, or it should be, this, and whatever we tell ourselves. And what he said was, when your communications with yourself and others are initiated from your heart in love, they begin with the foundation of the most perfect force in all universal light, love. Your thoughts or words coming from an angry space will not be supported by any universal flow. Begin your communications with yourself, your guidance, or with other humans by taking a deep breath and becoming aware of your own heart light. Connect into this flow and allow your thoughts and words to come from this loving light. Then send them out to your intended focus. Try this and you will understand more completely the power of love to interpret the communications you have. So I love that. And how often do we forget to take a breath sometimes before we're sharing something that might be come out too quickly or in the wrong vein? So it's a beautiful reminder to take a breath and to feel the love before we express something. And if it's to ourselves, then when we take that breath, or we do the 5 breath self-healing meditation, we can be at peace with how life is at this very moment and look forward to whatever we're consciously creating. So where you are right now, you're not creating something else or something what you want to create because it's bad where you are. Where you are is fine. It's perfect. Not fine. It's perfect. It's a perfect place for you to be because that's where you are. And when you want to move forward into a new loving space, you can consciously create that. So thank you to the Chancellor for that. And by the way, I have the Sedona Journal for May, and the Chancellor's channeling is in here. And I'm so grateful to the Sedona Journal people for always being so supportive. And they also put an announcement about this particular program in there, which is very kind. And I just want to thank everybody in Flagstaff, Arizona for that. Before I go on, and we're coming through the time really quickly, I wanted to remind all the First Steps graduates that there is a level 1 online workshop happening later this month, starting on the 20, I always get the numbers were so close to April, 21st, the 21st. And on that weekend, we're going to have the first online level 1, and you need to have a partner with you. This is a pandemic level 1, I guess you could say. The people who are together, and you could practice on each other in person during this workshop. So it's a real hands-on workshop, and people will be different parts of the world, which is kind of exciting, practicing signature cell healing on each other, and we'll be going into those practices. So if you can get with a partner and get registered, do that now. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so I also wanted, I mentioned the global healing meditation. We also have on the Signature Cell Healing website, a lot of the print books are, I think they're $7 now with shipping. So that's like less than half price. So if you want a print book like you can hold in your hand, they're there for you. And we ship them out from the Honolulu Church of Light. Or there's ebooks there and lots of digital materials that you can avail yourself of there. So I wanted to mention that for you. Also, before we go, let's just talk a little bit about the Chancellor's channeling for this month, which was Release the Limits and Expand into Love. And that's also on the new website under, I think it's called now just gonna get it. It's called the Wisdom blog, Channel Guidance blog. That's it, Channel Guidance blog. And the Chancellor's channeling for this month is there. And a lot of what is said there is so beautifully aligned to this program today. There's so much about, not holding yourself back from what you can create in your life. So a lot of what I've noticed also is the limitations that I place on myself that say, oh, wow, I could never do that. That's just, something I've never done, or that's scary or whatever. But we all have to test the limits in order to evolve. So if we can get into our hearts, release the fear, the first step is just creating the vision for it, creating the dream and saying it to yourself or imagining it and starting to create a vision for it. And the Chancellor speaks beautifully about this and there's even a meditation in there that came through for you to do. You can even, read it to yourself, read it out loud, and then, listen to it and allow the Chancellor to guide you through that. In answer to one of the questions was so beautiful. Regardless of the circumstances that you find yourself in, you have a choice in how you want to feel about anything in your life. When you wake up in the morning, do you say to yourself, oh no, there's that pain in my back again? Or I still feel mad at my spouse about last night? In doing so, you are perpetuating the things in your life that you may not really want. So how often do we have the thoughts that this is what I'm angry about, or this is what I don't want, when in fact, the Chancellor says you can choose to begin the day with thoughts of limitless love and abundant happiness. For example, you could wake up each morning and say, I feel great, I love my life, and I'm going to make it better every day. I think I'm going to take that mastermind right there. That one is great. So, I mean, that can be so all-encompassing, and you can, let the past go and step into the future, step into what you want in your life and release the limits. So does that bring up any questions, or any shares? Sandra, you're unmuted. Did you want to share?
Well, I don't have a lot to say. Just the basic that if we choose, when we can take one step forward in the art of balancing our lives and our 4 bodies, or however many bodies or subtle bodies we have,
Mm-hmm.
we have to try not to take another 2 steps back. So we have to try to keep evolving forward, and that can be a challenge.
Totally challenging.
So that's possibly why we end up stuck so often day after day, because we do take a step or 2 forward, but then at times we'll find ourselves inadvertently taking a step or 2 back, and then we wonder why we're not progressing forward.
Well, I can feel that, Sandra. Let me just maybe share with you that sometimes when I feel that I'm stuck, I'm not really stuck. And sometimes when everybody, when we feel like we're stuck, we really aren't stuck. It's just you have to get used to this new step that you took. So you took a new step. But for me, the most important thing is to give myself a break and to not be so hard on myself, and understand that, oh, look, I have this list. I wanted to do all these things today, and I only did 2 of them, but those were 2 really good things I did, And I also want to share with you something that Master Kirill taught us when we had a big staff at the Honolulu Church of Light. You probably remember it. We were in a big church in Honolulu, and we had a lot of people on staff, maybe 10 or 12 people. And there was a sign on the back of the door where the staff went out to our cars when we left at night. And Master Kirill told us to put a sign on there. And that sign says, I did everything I came to do today. I feel 100%. And, I tell you something, there are many times I walked through that door, I didn't feel that way. But when I looked at that and I said it out loud, when I opened the door and I closed it, I knew that day I had done everything I could do. And I was satisfied. I was satisfied. And I work with that every day, Sandra. So part of it is saying to yourself, I'm moving forward in love, and don't give any energy to this idea that you're stuck anywhere. You're moving forward, and I'm lighting your path. I'm lighting your path because I know you're moving forward. I know you're doing really well. Yeah, you can see it around you. Your aura is expanding, and I love the purple. I can totally relate to that color. So thank you for sharing that. You really speak to a lot of our hearts in that way. Thank you so much. Mahina Ku has also asked if we have any celestial insights. And I want to say that, yeah, there's a couple of things that, you know, and I love the Lemurian astrology. I'm not, you know, this long time. I just do it because I love it. And, you know, I come from the stars, so I relate to the stars. You know, we all come from the stars, right? But there are some beautiful things happening now that we're in this energy of Taurus, you know, in this month until we get to the 20th, which is we'll go into Gemini. But there was a period of about, I think it was like 66 days where we had all planets moving forward, meaning there was no retrograde planets. And I could totally feel that. I felt it so strongly that I felt like, oh my God, there's so much to do and I'm doing it, I'm doing it, you know. And then at the end of April, Pluto went retrograde and screwed up the whole thing. Now it's going to happen, right? So now what's happening is gradually the planets are going to, it's a cycle, you know, that the planets go direct and they go retrograde from our perspective on Earth. And that just means it's a more reflective time, a time to reflect on what these particular planets mean. And we're going to find ourselves, especially politically and through governments and through things that need to be exposed. We're going to reflect on a lot of things that need to be looked at in the third dimensional world, because we still have this energy of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter working together. They were in Capricorn together. Now they're moving gradually into Aquarius. Saturn and Jupiter also are in Aquarius now, but Pluto is still in Capricorn. So we still have this. Capricorn represents the governments, the third dimensional way of living life, moving through the world, any kind of things that are structured and formed. So we are releasing the old third dimensional ways, and in a great shift in consciousness, we stay in our hearts because that keeps us in love and moving forward into the fourth light. There's an element that is still struggling with the third dimensional world. So that's just one of the things that's happening. Another thing that's very, very beautiful that we can watch for, if you have a beautiful view to the western horizon at sunset, is that Venus is now rising as an evening star. And we will potentially see that on the 12th of May. If you have a low horizon, just keep watching, because on the 12th, Venus will be with the moon. So if you can see the moon, that's Venus with the moon. It's always a great time. So it's considered the first gate coming out of the underworld. And I believe also on my website, the story of Inanna is there. And that's the ancient Sumerian legend of Venus. And that's how we can track the Venus cycle. So that's a beautiful energy that we can watch for now, because Venus is going to be rising from the underworld, which is so cool. And it's a Gemini goddess in this cycle. So as we move into Gemini, of course, on the 20th of May, there's going to be this amazing conjunction on the 20th of the Sun and the Pleiades at the solar zenith. So the solar zenith is when the sun is directly overhead. And that doesn't happen. I mean, for us, it happens around the 20th. It's different in, different parts of the world. So check out when the solar zenith is for your part of the world. But the sun will be with the Pleiades, which will be a dynamic thing at that time. And then at the end of the month, we're going into a Mercury retrograde on the 30th. So that will be in Taurus, and we'll have an opportunity to reflect on our communications, and look back on, how do we communicate with the earth? I mean, that's a real Taurean energy. And how is Mother Earth receiving our love in that way? And then, okay, one other thing before that is the 26th is a total lunar eclipse. And we're going to get a good view of that in Hawaii. So the total lunar eclipse is at 5 Sagittarius on the 26th of May. And I don't know if it's, I'm not sure if it's visible in Europe. I think not. But the energy of it is sure there. And that'll be followed by a solar eclipse in June. So yes, thank you for asking, Mahina Ku, for the celestial rundown. Does that bring up any questions? The celestial energies, and I do enjoy doing astrology readings for people. It's a lot of fun because the Lemurian astrology brings a spiritualist perspective to it and a goddess perspective, and that's what's so different about it. And I like that very much because it's something for our great shifting consciousness and keeps us moving forward in love, right? So we've really come to the end of our time for today. So I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please sign up for the newsletters on my website if you're not signed up. And we're going to have our next Healing Moments program on the first Saturday in June, which is June 5th. Yeah, and then I hope to see, if you're a First Steps graduate, I hope you can get your partner and get with us live, and we'll be practicing signature cell healing later this month. And I'm going to say the dates because I just heard say the dates. May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 hours each time. So it's not overwhelming. It's only 9 hours, and it's going to be packed with great techniques that you can use on yourself and on your family and friends. All right. Well, so nice to have you with us today. I'm going to send off now and wish everybody a happy Lei Day, a happy May Day, and a great month of love. Aloha, everyone.